Hi everyone, SpiderMan 1991 here to talk about my comics for the week. Alright, first of all, a little something from Marvel that came out this week that's free. It's Marvel Sneak Peeks. This is just a little collection of the first 6 pages of certain issues that come out soon that get to give you sort of a little sneak peek and let you decide whether or not you want to buy them early. We've got Fantastic Four 588, X-Men Legacy 245, Ultimate Comics Avengers vs. New Ultimates, Silver Surfer number 1, X-Men number 8, and New Avengers number 9. These aren't the full issues, they're just sneak previews, give you a little taste about what's ahead, and you can decide whether or not you want to buy them. Also, there was no review last week because I was busy and I didn't have time, but I did manage to get Fantastic Four 587, and I Know Who Dies. And okay, I'm just gonna say it because pretty much every single media outlet on the internet or in the papers somewhere has spoiled it. It was Johnny Storm. Okay, it was Johnny Storm who died, and I did like the preview here for Fantastic Four if I can find it. Silver Surfer. Okay. Yeah, here we go. Just pretty much so far for this preview, I like this preview so far about the next issue of Fantastic Four, which is pretty much Spider-Man trying to cheer Franklin Richards up, which looks great. You can get sneak peeks if you want to. It's free. It doesn't cost anything, so check that out if you want. All right, next up, let's start the actual reviews with Invincible, the only comic from Image I get. It has been a number of months since the last issue came out, and this one starts off with pretty much Mark having a vision about what happens if the Viltrumites come to Earth before they do, and it's pretty much death to everyone. And of course, Mark is a little troubled by this because he, Nolan, and Tech Jacket are on their way to Earth to save everyone, and it's revealed that Oliver is left back on the Teleska with the rest of the coalition of planets, where Alan the alien is now the new leader. And as soon as they approach Earth, Mark gets out of the shell, heads there, and they meet the Viltrumite King, who tells them that he's willing to negotiate with them. And it's that basically all the remaining Viltrumites, since there's only like 10 of them, are going to stay on Earth, live as human, and hide out as humans, and which is probably the safest way for them. And then in a couple hundred years, they can rebuild their empire and pretty much restart again, because the way they see it, they owe them a planet since they destroyed Viltrum. And of course, Mark is first against this, says it's stupid, but then he thinks about what they could do if he says no, and so Mark reluctantly agrees to let the Viltrumites stay. Okay, Invincible number 77. Is this really the end to the Viltrumite War? It seems that way. Okay, it seems that way, and from the little preview here about the next issue, it just looks like Mark. It looks like a happy ending, but it might not be. I don't know what that means. Maybe Robert Kirkman is just going to put the Viltrumites on Earth, then eventually have them rise, then eventually kind of put them on the sidebar for a moment until he can figure out what to do with them exactly. But I don't know. It does seem like the Viltrumite war is ending right now. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. We'll find out next issue, which I hope will come out next month, but let's face it, that won't happen. Moving along. Now for Marvel with Invincible Iron Man 500.1. That's right, the number is 0.1. Marvel has decided to release a number of issues that are followed by 0.1, which is sort of give new readers a chance to sort of, if you want to try the book out, if you're finally going to get around to buying this particular series, then you'd have a perfect jumping off point which will tell you everything, such as all this is Tony Stark goes to an AA meeting, and he pretty much recounts his entire life. His early days as a rich kid, then his first repulsor tech in his chest. Yeah, repulsor. Then his early days as Iron Man, founding the Avengers. Then then Obadiah Stane taking over his company, the Demon in a Bottle, and then James Rhodes taking over as Iron Man, and just briefly mentioning all this stuff, just sort of giving you an idea who Tony Stark is, the recent stuff. It's just basically summarizing Tony Stark's life, and that's all that happens. And that's pretty much all that happens. Nothing in particular here. I'd say if you know everything about Iron Man, you can just skip this, really. I just got it in case one of my friends wants to read it or something. I really got this just in case I ever have a friend who wants to ask me about what's been happening with Iron Man or something. I can just give them this and say, here, read it, you'll be caught up. Good. So that's all point one really is. It's just a preview. I'd say don't get it if you know everything about Iron Man. Just, if you have been following the series, don't get it. But if you haven't, I'd say get it. Okay, next up. Amazing Spider-Man 653. And if people have been watching my recent reviews, then you know I will say that any issue of Spider-Man written by Dan Slott is awesome. And it is. While Spider-Man's dealing with the Scorpion, he tries to trick the Scorpion to help him get the booster rockets off the shuttle, but while also Max Modell from Horizon Labs is working on it too, they also get help from Dr. Octopus behind the scenes. They don't know he's helping them, but for some reason, Ock thinks this will throw off his huge one last master plan. So, which is interesting to see Ock actually help Spider-Man, which, of course, will only mean that he wants to be the one to kill Spider-Man. So the rocket is able to launch, and Spidey defeats the Scorpion, and of course then Smythe sends his insect army to attack the Daily Bugle and the spa where Marla Jameson and May Parker are resting. I guess May Jameson now. Anyways, then fortunately Spidey calls for help too with the new Avengers. So while Luke Cage and Iron Fist protect the Mayor Jameson, Spidey goes to the spa pretty much, and Miss Marvel and Jewel protect the new Daily Bugle offices. Spider-Man takes the Thing and Mockingbird with him to take care of the rest, to help protect Aunt May and Marla Jameson. And while they're fighting, Spider-Man seems to figure out that all of Smythe's insect soldiers have a simulated spider sense that he has. So he runs off to Horizon Labs, hoping that he can make a device to sort of counteract it. But unfortunately, he runs into Max Modell, who wants to have a talk about him and Spider-Man. Woohoo! And we get a little code feature here that's the end of the whole Power Man Spidey team up. It's just funny. I won't say it's good, but it's not. It doesn't really take focus away from the main story, fortunately. All right, Amazing Spider-Man 653, great. I really want to get to the next issue just to see what Max Modell has to say to Peter about all this. Maybe he has uncovered Peter's identity. Okay, the guy is a genius, and this was probably going to happen at some point with Peter using Horizon as Spider-Man. So the consequences may finally catch up to him. Don't know what that means for Peter's future, but I just don't really think Dan Slott would really just give Spider-Man all the good life for maybe a couple of issues, then just take it away. No, there has to be something more behind this. Okay, moving along now for DC with Brightest Day number 19, Aqua War, where, as you guessed it, this issue is focused on Aquaman. So after Boston Brand discusses with the Ring about killing Hawkman, Hawkgirl, the Ring explains to him that, technically the entity explains that he's trying to purify everyone who died's life force, and he's trying to purify the life force of Earth with basically the Forest of Star City, as well as the Champion, who needs to rise or else the Earth will die, basically. And apparently Boston Brand was brought back so that he could embrace life to help power the Ring. And meanwhile, in the sea, Aquaman and Jackson Hyde reach the shore, and then they do battle with Siren and the water breakers. And Jackson's pretty much using his powers to combat combat them. Aquaman's dealing with Siren, all while talking about Mera. And Black Manta comes out of nowhere and cuts Aquaman's hand off. That was my favorite part of this issue, where he comes out of nowhere and just slices Aquaman's hand off, which is awesome. Not saying I'm rooting for Black Manta, just the moment right there was great. And now Aquaman's pretty much left with his wounded hand, and Black Manta says he should be used to that. Ooh. So yeah, Brightest day number 19, pretty awesome. I'm starting to love Aquaman now. I really am starting to love Aquaman because of this. And I think it's hilarious that Aquaman comes back to life, and he had the hook for the hand for like during the 90s and stuff, and now he had it fixed, and now he's back to life, and what happens? Bam! Loses his hand. I sure hope that guy's left-handed. Moving along. Superboy number 4. Sonic Lad and Superboy combat the soldiers from the future who were after Sonic Lad, but basically the soldiers pretty much leave once Superboy's friend Simon shows up, which is strange. And Connor's still trying to wonder how Lori could have resisted his attack, but Sonic Lad scans her mind and says that she has high latent psychic activity in her brain. Don't know what that means yet, but basically Simon, Superboy, and Sonic Lad go off to talk about this. Sonic Lad reveals his origins, that he's from a dystopia future where apparently Smallville is now this huge fire pit, which looks like Apocalypse. And Sonic Lad's the last of the heroes of his time, and he goes back in time, and he's decided to go back to find Superboy, who's the greatest hero of his generation, to teach him how to be a better hero so he could help free his people. And apparently no one knows who we get no information about who this future dictator is, and that apparently he's lived for a long time, and he had been a foe for the Earth's heroes for for decades prior to his ascent to power. So no one knows who he is, all that he came from Smallville and took over and is now an evil dictator. And of course Simon decides to put Sonic Lad's powers to good use to speak to the farmer from back in Superboy number 2 about the broken silo. And Sonic Lad reads his mind, sees the old farmer by some ruins, sees the creepy farmers who beat him, then attach him to the machine, which led them up to this point. So now, basically, the three of them are going to work together, go to the ruins, and figure out what's going on in Smallville. All while Sonic Lad is going to stay with the Kents. And at night, Connor goes to see Lori to discuss things, and Lori kind of thought that they were friends or something, but he thinks it's a little weird because she's a Luthor, and he does mention the feelings for each other, but it's weird because they're kind of like cousins or something. Yeah, it would be weird if they did hook up, but it's just wrong. It's wrong, okay? And Connor does tell her that he broke up with Wonder Girl a few days ago. It was the last issue of Teen Titans. Get it if you want to know exactly what happened. And so Lori just pretty much says she's fine. And Connor says he can't really get into anything right now because he feels a little vulnerable, and basically flies off. And meanwhile, Sonic Lad's contacting one of the heroes from the future, one of the supposed heroes of the future, and he says that he's infiltrated his inner circle. Now, he's speaking in third person here. The object of the sentence is inner circle, and that he will kill him. There's no mention about it if it would be Superboy. Superboy would be the likely choice, but I don't think we should overrule that it could be Simon. So yeah, nice little twist ending. A little interesting how they're kind of taking care of that whole Lori and Connor relationship a bit. I think they should just be friends, really, because let's face it, he is a Luthor. Connor is kind of a Luthor after all, since he is half of Lex Luthor's DNA. So it'd just be wrong if they hooked up. Wrong. But yeah, Superboy, I love this series. It's great. Comic. Alright. So, moving around. So let's conclude things. Superboy number 4. Great. Pick it up. Nice hook ending there. Brightest Day number 19. Aquawar. Great. I'm really starting to love Aquaman because of this. Amazing Spider-Man 653. Fun. Always Dan Slott does good work on this title. It's really coming into a great read. And Invincible Iron Man 500.1. Get it if you haven't read the series in a while. Just pick it up if you can, or not. And I have to say my comic for the week would go to Invincible number 77. Because this is the conclusion of the Viltrumite War, I think it's very interesting to see this war with pretty much the mightiest race of conquerors in the galaxy end with just a treaty that they would live in hiding and wait 100 years to rebuild their hundreds of years to rebuild their empire. I think that's very interesting, and maybe this is the end, maybe it isn't, but I enjoyed it, and I would definitely say this is my comic for the week. Close second would be Superboy because I love the character, and third would be Amazing Spider-Man. So yeah. Oh, and Marvel Sneak Peeks. It's free. Get it or not. Just get it. Just check out a few things. If you're not really into sneak previews, then I'd say skip it. Okay, that's all I have to say. Spider-Man 1991 saying, see you later.